96?
92.
Okay, really? Wow, you and Blau.
I was born in 1934.
Amazing.
I started out with the country falling apart, and I think I'm probably going to go out with the country falling apart.
Probably so. It looks very much like that.
From rags to rags.
It's all your fault.
No, not my fault. I was too young. When I was first born, I was too young.
Well, I was premature, 3 pounds, 2 ounces.
Yeah, I have read that someplace.
Yeah, I put that out there every now and then.
I have no idea. I never asked my mother, and she never mentioned it, so I have no idea what I was.
I think Billy's talking, but I can't hear anything. Just make sure he's got the sound on.
Who's talking?
I'm going to mute.
120.
There you go. He finally turned it on.
Somebody's talking and somebody has.
Yeah, let's mute and we'll listen to them, okay?
Okay.
Great.
Okay, folks. Wait a minute. Who's this one? All right. Well, we will. Where would you like? Am I in a good spot?
You're good.
Well, welcome everyone. Everybody online. Hello up there. Good to see you. We are glad we're able to gather today. We did not know what the weather was going to be in Nashville this week. For those that live here, we never know. I did end up with where I am. I had about a quarter of an inch of snow, and a lot of flurries. And apparently down in Cookville had a big chain reaction wreck. Oh yeah, 18 to 20 vehicles, and it was snowing really hard. We were in Cookville when they had it, so it's been an interesting day or an interesting week. But we're glad you're here, Jim. We're sorry you're not with us, but we sort of see you. We can't see the whites of your eyes exactly.
Just the whites of your eyes.
Oh yeah, I kind of saw them then. Thanks, Jim. But thank you all for being here. I would start with I do have a note for some who had some sad news. Jackie Morris, who is a Sherlockian, she's been a BSI since 2014. As the Lions main, Jim has shared with me, passed away unexpectedly. So for the folks that have been to New York and some of the other events, you probably have met her. Just a really gracious person and will be missed.
Well, I walked over to her this week. I had no idea until now that this would happen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, yeah, she appeared. We don't know any details. She just
Like you and I both limped along together. So.
there was no illness that anybody was aware of, and
So he organized scintillation of Scion. Anybody ever went to Baltimore for that? And just a great Sherlock and a good person.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Sorry for the loss.
I would also say that Jim also asked me to remind everyone Jim Moranker's Zoom lecture is January the 20th at 3 p.m. and I think that information went out. So Moranker, I don't know him. Bill, are you familiar? He's a big collector with lots of stuff, right?
Well, that applies to about half the Sherlock.
But there's that.
So what?
Yeah.
Well, that book, Sherlock in 221 Objects, is his collection.
He has first rank objects in his collection.
Was he the one that did the Glory Air Club?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
It's really one of a kind sorts of things that Glenn has.
Well, so he is having a Zoom, and I think that information will circulate, but we can get it to you. Other than that, I just glad everybody's here. But we also just show and tell. It's after Christmas. I didn't know if anybody had any Christmas things that they. Cindy, please go right ahead before I could even finish.
There you go. We went to northern Kentucky for a short trip in end of November, and I went went to a really nice bookstore there called Poor Richard's Bookstore in Frankfort, Kentucky. And they had this, so I had to have it. There he is.
Hold it up a little higher for.
Oh, here you go.
Is that a pipe that he got to?
He's got a
Here,
magnifying
Let me-
glass and a pipe.
May I?
Sure.
Let's go. Here we go.
Which one is the dummy?
Which one's the dummy? Thank you very much. I swear.
Well, he's not a puppet or a ventriloquist dummy, he's just.
I'm hurt. Anyone else? Anything else?
Back up found this great escape, that week or so ago. It's a golden book. That's children's adaptations of some of the stories, so abridgments with illustrations. From the 1959. It's still in very nice shape.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And of course, it was behind the counter held for you because.
Yes, I mean,
Because you're a part owner of the store.
They do that occasionally. That's okay.
Yeah, you passed out something.
Yeah,
You're not.
and Susan found this for me on eBay. It's Sherlock, certainly not meerschaum, but and it's probably plastic. I don't know, but it's a good little do that.
It's like your library to me.
I put it in my books, bookshelf. So
There's a miniature version of this that was printed out by Nestle.
huh,
I'll try to remember to show you.
yeah. Oh,
Anyone else? Anything else?
I've got a bunch of things, but they're all themed to the presentation
We're gonna see your show and tells in a little bit.
to pass around. Did I wait?
Ah, it's your presentation. We bow to you.
I'll wait.
All right. Anything? I would say one thing I am neglectful. Drew Thomas could not be here with us today. Drew, as most of you should know, had a pretty nasty fall in December. It's really an odd, apparently on December 21st, which was really an odd situation because he was in the area where they deal with orthopedic and neurological injuries at Summit. While I was doing a heart procedure next door. Now my heart was fine. His hip was not. It was broken. So he and I were in there at the same time and didn't know it. But I did get to visit with him on Wednesday. I think several of y'all went to the hospital and visited with him, and maybe even his home. So I may have been the last one of it. He's doing pretty good.
and apparently he's back home now.
Yes, I expected to get to go see him in the rehab, and so I called him, and he says, "Oh, I'm home." I said, You were just there." He said, "That's it. I was just there." And so he and Joan were. He's recovering, and he plans to be with us for his program in February. So we will hope for that recovery. Before I go too much further, folks online, do y'all have anything to hear at show and tell? Do we have any show and tell from our friends out there? Jim or Sandy, Mike, anybody?
Can you hear me okay?
Can't
Yes,
now.
I can.
Oh, good. Yes. This is Micah, longtime listener, first time caller. Thanks for taking my call. And you were asking for a limerick, and I have one. Can I
Wow.
share it with you?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. All right, here we go. There once was a poet named Sandy, whose limericks always did come in handy. Every rhyme that goes in, we cry, "Why, Miss Cosin? Better than Watson's prescription of brandy." And how do you spell Cosin? Kozin. You were asking for a limerick that had an in it, and there you go.
You, Micah.
Micah is presenting for us later this year. His hobby is magic.
And he's
Yeah,
very
I'm re-
good.
well-
I saw one of his things on TV. I happened to catch it, and it's fantastic.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it. And Sandy, thank you for all your wonderful limericks, and thank you for inspiring that one. We really appreciate what you do, Sandy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where do
Thank
you
you.
live, Micah?
you.
Where do you live?
I live in a town called Chatsworth, about 30 minutes away from Hollywood in California. And it
Huh.
was just a couple of months ago that I put on a play about Sherlock Holmes in downtown Los Angeles. And Sandy was one of the first people to review the script. And thank you again, Sandy.
My pleasure.
Great.
How about that? A coast to coast relationship. That's great.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, all right. Thank you. We appreciate that. Now Sandy has been immortalized, so well deserved. So we will move forward. This year, rather than go through the canon as we've done many times over the last.
Billy,
Yep,
did you want to talk about New York?
Bill, as my memory,
Billy didn't want to hear from me.
I don't start. We do have a gentleman here with us who was able to go to New York this year. He was obviously, as a member of the Baker Street Raiders, he was at the dinner. So, Bill Mason, thank you for reminding me that I should write everything down and follow an agenda. So, Bill, please give us a report because I know there was some big stuff in New York.
There were some important things that happened in New York. It was a good trip. The weather rained a little bit on us, but it wasn't so much that we couldn't get around. Of course, the main events were at the Yale Club for the dinner and the reception, and the afternoon reception on Saturday afternoon. At the dinner, first of all, investitures, we have I think there were 11 this year. One of the most notable, it would mean something to a lot of us, is Steve Mason's son, Rusty, invested as John Mason. So that was one we can all be happy about. And Rusty is very active, not just because of his dad, but because of his own interest. So what a good addition he was. The big news at the dinner, of course, was the Michael Keene, who has been Wiggins for I think 6 years, decided to step down and was replaced immediately by Steve Doyle of Indianapolis. Steve, many of you know through the Gillette and Brett conferences he's done, but also, I mean, he's been publisher of West Express and publisher of the Baker Street Journal, not editor, but publisher, and I think he's going to be an outstanding personality to be in Wiggins for us. Michael Keene made a big impact. I think he let in a lot of people. He had in a lot of big classes of inductees, and so the Baker Street Raiders have grown a lot since he became Wiggins. But for his own reasons, decided to step down. The next day at the reception that they have every Saturday afternoon, they call it a reception. It's basically a sit-down dinner that lasts for a couple of hours. But there's always an auction. And Peter Blau, whenever you've gone to any event, who is kind of the dean of Sherlockians right now, inducted in 1959 as Black Peter, has been the auctioneer at every event that he's at that has an auction, including this one. The auction is for the Watson Fund, which helps fund people who need help paying for the trip to New York, not just Baker Street Raiders, but anybody else wants to go. Conducted the auction and then announced that it was his last time. He's going to be 92 this year.
Yeah.
And he's going to be replaced with Scott Money.
Oh,
And
that's appropriate.
It'll be a different kind of energy. There's no doubt about that.
you recall, Peter always wears that blue jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Except that his other jacket is his tuxedo jacket. So the joke is, and so he took his jacket off and put it on Scott. And so it was. So there's two big changes there in the Baker Street Raiders. The other thing is a new book came out by Julie McCurris and Bill Mason called The Regular Chronicles of the Early 50s. And John Lellenberg produced a series of Baker Street Irregular Histories. He produced 5 volumes of it. This is the 6th. His went up through 1950. This book goes from 51 to 55. And John did his last book in 1999, so it's been 26 years since one of these series books has come out. And we feel good about it. It was enthusiastically received and sold out in New York. I assume it'll still be available through the Baker Street Irregular Press.
Is it not going to be available at our meetings here at a price?
at a price, well, I'm gonna get an extra one so that it doesn't come home with barbecue sauce on it, so. But
All I can say is if we're not able to order that book, and I'll get on it tomorrow. If we're not able to order the book, me and somebody, and my many members who are in BSI, if we can't get copies of that book for the national group, we gotta buy them. There's gonna be a problem.
Okay.
Just wanna go on the record. Somebody call Steve and say Billy's mad.
Well, it's a 350-page book, and it covers lots of things. It covers all the BSI dinners, of course, who's inducted. It covers things like the New York exhibition, the London exhibition in 51, the New York exhibition in 52, which they had hoped to take around the country, and only wound up being in New York. It wasn't that big a success. Covers the Basil Rathbone play that wasn't a big success in 53. It covers the Ronald Howard TV series, which managed to go for one season in 54.
Another great success.
And things like that. Well, what we found out was that what we always know, we're a small university. That the expectation that there would be a huge response to things, we didn't always translate.
Yeah.
But what happened with all of these events, including the Rathbone play, and the conclusion in the piece that was written about that I wrote about that, was that he got national attention because it was Basil Rathbone, and his wife wrote the screenplay that did the play. And in all the stories, they had to look for Sherlockian experts, and who did they turn to? Every single time, Baker Street Irregular. So the trick was not to do a history of Sherlock Holmes in 1950s, but to do a history of the Baker Street Irregular. So all of these things have a tie to the Baker Street Irregular. One constant thread in the book is the battle between Adrian Conan Doyle, especially, and the estate, and Baker Street Irregulars, especially Edgar Smith, who's the editor. The next book will cover 56 to 60, which Julie and I are also going to do. And then somebody else can take it from there. So Julie McCure did a fabulous job on this, and faced a lot of health problems during the time of it. But I think she really deserves a lot of credit for what a success the book has been.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of the highlights of it. Cindy went with me, and we managed to go to the Met, see the ancient Egyptian divinity exhibition, the ancient Egyptian art tied to their gods. And we went to the United Nations, and Cindy managed to charm somebody to give us a personal tour of the United Nations and visited the floor. So she's good to take with you. If people want to do anything from me, but they'll do it.
I get it. I understand.
We've been there, we know that.
So it sounds like a good time was had, Bob.
Good job.
I think so. A lot of Bakery regulars there, and of course, like I say, another big class of inductees, which is, I think, ensuring the future of the organization.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Well, all right. Bill, thank you, and thank you for reminding me, and thank you for reminding me that I need to have an agenda before I walk in here and not depend on my memory.
You need
But thank you.
You need a secretary to follow you.
I need a keeper is what I need. Secretary is okay, but I need a keeper. And my keeper's up on the mountain right now, so, did I forget anything else? You don't remember, great. Okay, well, without further ado, quite often, as you know, as I started to say, we've worked through the canon of the stories many times, and since 1987 that I can account for, we've been through the canon. Gosh, I don't know how many times. Working this way, they've all been good discussions, and they've all been, well, most have been good discussions and mostly good programs. But sometimes we felt like we needed to deviate. And this year we are deviating a little bit. There'll be Sherlockian topics. There'll be Victorian topics. It'll be English topics. There's going to be topics that will supplement what we already know and what we've learned from the good doctor's writings. So today we're fortunate. Tom Vickstorm is going to be leading us on a conversation about the hotels and country inns in Victorian England. Tom is certainly, I can say without question, our expert on hotels as a longtime employee, more 2 decades, I think, at the Hermitage.
22 years.
22 years. and the historian of the Hermitage, and a vital part of preservation in Nashville. And he and Wanda have worked really, really hard, I think, as a team to make sure that our treasures don't get lost. As we could have a program on just that, and would have none, may not interest folks all over, but we've lost so many things in Nashville to our failure to maintain. And I'm not going to go there because I get angry, and I'll shut up. Tom Vickstorm, we are glad you're here. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Billy. I don't have a loud voice, but can everybody hear me? Fine. The note of Nashville preservation, the Historic Nashville Inc., which is a preservation nonprofit, having its annual meeting January 29th. It'll be at the Lindsley Avenue Church of Christ, which is the late 1894 building, and great people. If you're interested, talk to me afterwards. But I was really appreciative of the invite to speak on hotels and inns of the canon, because I've had a fascination with hotels and inns since 1970. My first work in a Cape Cod resort during high school years, and progressed through to study hotel management in college for 6 years, and then on to career with Sheraton, now Starwood Hotels, and then including the historic Jefferson in Richmond, Virginia, and then on to Nashville. So anyway, I appreciate it. I got so busy with the research that there's more to the research than probably the presentation. Didn't know when to quit, so just
Yeah.
just
We'll give you a hand. Don't worry.
You brought your people with you.
in the hotel world, that would be checkout. Tell me when to check out.
Yeah, I need to do this.
But I brought a few show and tells at the risk of being read while I'm trying to speak. But this is a legitimate London UK book on railway hotels of more the Edwardian age. I bookmarked also a hotel bill, which shows up in the, not this particular, but hotel bills do show up in the canon. Anyway, enough said. I had interesting things on the bill of that era, like cigars, stabling your horses, a bath, one tub of hot water brought into your room, things like that. So a few other. This turned up in bought it in the mail. It's called The Innkeeper's Diary. It's a UK story about an innkeeper, somewhat of a wag, I think maybe telltale. And this is another, the heritage of England.
Recording in progress.
East England's pubs. And there's a glossary in the back of terminology. Things like what is a snug? So snug will come up in the presentation. Another book, this got a very rich history of hospitality in the UK. This is inns, ales, and drinking customs of old England.
Was that your favorite part of presentation?
I'll have to do some field research on that one.
My man.
Maybe a trip coming up.
Next time, remember.
That's this one not read yet, but it looks colorful. There's more coming. Okay, this is a really fun book called Crooks of the Waldorf. So this is more in the line of detectives. It's written by a real life hotel detective who started in England there and helped solve a true case in London. But he talks about the different crooks that you can have inside a hotel. And there's several instances in the canon of breaking and entering or theft out of a hotel room or a suite. We'll keep it going this way. I know you won't have time to read all this, but feel free to browse if you want afterwards. This was one of my very favorite books in guiding me in my career choice. This is called Check In, Check Out, Principles of Front Office Management. This has things like the legal relationship a guest has when they check in, that a hotel has responsibility for the guest, and so for limited responsibility.
Was that like a textbook in college?
It was, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And
He went to school and everything?
yeah, still learning. But that led into this, probably something you don't read every day, uniform system of accounts for hotels. If you wonder how to classify the expense of purchasing a case of soap, for example, it's all in here. Is it a guest supply? Is it an operating supply? Is it a cleaning supply? It could be conceivably any of the three. So, it's all in here. Tells you how to keep a set of books.
That's good.
Getting to the bottom of the barrel here. This was given as a gift to me. This is Ritz and Escoffier. These are famous French and English hotelier and chef. This was given to me as a gift by the president of this Historical Hotels of America. I've not read it yet. I like the cover.
Yeah.
But that is of the era of the canon. And I'm sure Sir Arthur Conan Doyle visited the Savoy.
Yeah.
The Ritz. This is the Savoy. It's the other famous London hotel, opened about 1892, and it was the high standard of luxury, and got a great cover, compelling cover. So, anyway, in trying to approach this topic is specifically related to the canon. I mentioned I have the Adobe version of the canon PDF document where you can go through. So I tried to find out which hotels and inns really did show up in the stories of Sherlock Holmes, and then the inns, hotels. There's also arms. There's and so forth, and then which ones had a meaningful point in the plot. It was a casual reference that Watson stayed at an inn, but so here is the there's quite a bit. So it's an appropriate topic. Appropriate topic of
Tiny spreadsheet.
presentation. Yes, a spreadsheet.
Classes now.
So, country inns and city hotels in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. We'll start with a few true hotels. There were many that were fictionalized, and several that were real life hotels with fictional events, stories that took place in them. First is the Langham Hotel, and that's top right in the screen here. No, that's not either. Here's the Langham Hotel. We're seeing a historical marker that today is affixed to the wall of the Langham Hotel. This is where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got his start. He was with Oscar Wilde, interviewed by a publisher and commissioned to start writing some stories that helped him hit the big time. Sign of the Four was a result of his meeting or a dinner there at the Langham Hotel. It's, in his stories, it's mentioned in Sign of the Four, A Scandal in Bohemia, and in A Dispute with Lady Frances Carfax. Simply noted as a prestigious, high-quality address and not instrumental in the plot.
Do you have an elevator?
It, I think it probably did, yes. They didn't even call them elevators in the early days.
Slips.
Vertical room, things like that. Well, it had a steam-powered elevator. And it's also said that Langham was instrumental in bringing afternoon tea to hotels, and that happened in the late 1860s. So that might have been in a setting like that. Might have been there that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle that inspired also commissioned to write Sign of the Four. Classy looking place, that's it today. This is a look up Northumberland Avenue back in the day, and the Northumberland Hotel is mentioned several times in Hound of the Baskervilles. First, it's where Sir Henry Baskerville stayed in London, and where a cryptic letter arrives warning him, as you value your life or your reason, keep away from the moor. This note incidentally written on foolscap, the standardized paper, with a watermark of a jester's cap. One of the many rabbit trails that I went down. But foolscap is a kind of an interesting point if you'd like to look it up. In Hound, Holmes and Watson pay a visit to a hotel. Sir Henry Baskerville is upstairs expecting you, said the clerk. As we came round the top of the stairs, we had run up against Sir Henry Baskerville himself. His face was flushed with anger, and he held out an old and dusty boot with his hands. It turns out that of his 2 pairs of boots, one each had been stolen, and for reasons unknown to him, but I think those of us who read the book, anybody like to mention, boot was stolen to give the Hound the scent of Sir Henry, so he could be followed and attacked on the moor. This hotel is a real place. The Northumberland Hotel was known briefly in the 1880s as the Northumberland Hotel, later as the Northumberland Arms. The building is what we now know of as the Sherlock Holmes Pub. Next, we have Claridge's Hotel. That's an old advertisement, and that's the way it looks today. That turns up in his last bow, where Holmes says, "You can report to me tomorrow in London, Martha, at Claridge's Hotel." Claridge's traces its origins to a hotel named Mivart's, which was founded in 1812 in a conventional London terraced house and grew by expanding into neighboring houses. Ownership changed in 1893 as part of the Savoy Group, whereby the old buildings were demolished and replaced with the present ones. This was prompted by the need to install modern facilities such as lifts and en-suite bathrooms. After the First World War, Claridge's flourished due to demand from aristocrats who no longer maintained a London house. Next, we have the Alpha Inn, and that's a current picture. This is a public house, actually named the Museum Tavern, near the British Museum, where Holmes sought information in the adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. A current TripAdvisor posting says this: "Welcome to the Museum Tavern, a family-friendly and dog-friendly London pub located next to the British Museum near Russell Square. Enjoy traditional Victorian pub stylings, a beer garden, and delicious pub food cooked to perfection. Try our Sunday roast selection, sharing platters, hot desserts, and a selection of vegan and non-gluten options. So it sounds like a fun place.
Is that a goose? Do they have goose options?
Well,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
actually more coming.
Oh! I will not interrupt again.
No, you have-
Sorry.
You have telepathic powers. The Museum Tavern began as the Dog and Duck in 1723.
Oh, my God.
In more recent times, the Museum Tavern is the last surviving establishment that provided a home for a fancy canary society devoted to what is now called the London Fancy Canary. This is where they held their meetings and probably where they had their annual prize show. In the blue carbuncle, it's a goose, not a canary, goose the star. Henry Baker, who lost his goose, explained to Holmes, there are a few of us who frequent the Alpha Inn near the museum. We are to be found in the museum itself during the day, you understand. Off the clock, I think he's saying. This is our good host, Windigate by name instituted. There, our good host instituted a goose club, by which on consideration of some few pence every week, we were each to receive a bird at Christmas. Subsequently, the hotel, the detective paid a visit. Holmes pushed open the door of the private bar and ordered 2 glasses of beer from the ruddy-faced, white-aproned landlord. This reference to a private bar suggests a snug. Oh, here's the bar. Okay. Today.
It's not very busy.
It could have been if it were filled up, could be a noisy place. And there's also restaurant seating in the adjacent room. And then yes, there's okay. Here's your head show the mushy peas and fish and chips that you get everywhere in England. And here we have a snug. Okay, this is that left as a current picture of a snug, and where probably the private bar referenced in the story, kind of setting where Holmes could carry on a discussion. As explained by the Irish Pub Company in a website posting, the concept of a snug dates back to the 19th century, originating in Ireland and spreading across the UK. In the early days, pubs were hubs of social activity, but they weren't exactly inclusive for everyone. The public bar was a place where the working class would gather to drink, smoke, and engage in lively discussion, sometimes boisterous, but not everyone felt comfortable in that environment. This is where the snug came into play. In the Victorian era, snugs were also often used by women or individuals of a higher social class who wanted to enjoy a drink without being in the midst of the noisy public bar. In many pubs, the snug was separated by a small partition, allowing the patrons to enjoy their privacy while still experiencing the lively atmosphere of the pub. Snugs provided an escape from the main pub area, peace and quiet. They could pay a little extra to be there. Now we journey more into the make-believe world of hotels and inns, of the canon, but many places with these names do exist, sometimes several of them. Whether or not they inspired the well-traveled Doyle in his writing, it is hard to say, but these establishments are charming to take a look at. This is the Brambleyte Hotel. The name Brambleyte comes from a family who lived in Yorkshire, where Bramley was a local name in a village near Leeds. A canon extract from The Adventures of Black Peter has Inspector Stanley Hopkins speaking. Undoubtedly, I find that young Nelgian arrived at the Brambleyte Hotel on the very day of the crime. He came on the pretense of playing golf. His room was on the ground floor and he could get out when he liked. That very night, he went down to Woodsman's Lee, saw Peter Carey at the hut, quarreled with him and killed him with a harpoon. So golf, by the way, was extremely popular in England with the upper classes and the middle class, and also with ladies playing golf. Golf, not harpooning. The ability to journey by railroad made golf vacations very popular. There was a golf craze that took off around the late 1880s. The number of golf clubs in England grew from about 100 in 1889 to 1,200 clubs by 1914. And then by that time, an estimated 350,000 golfers in England. TripAdvisor has a current listing of the Bramley as a comfortable and friendly hotel located in Forest Row, East Sussex. The guest reviews are very mixed. Yeah, if you want some entertainment, just go to TripAdvisor. And like that. Here on the left, if you can make it out, we have a picture of a black swan. This represents the Black Swan Hotel. Appears more like a village inn in the story, The Adventure of the Copper Beaches. Its location is Hampshire, Winchester High Street near the Tower of Cathedral. Holmes there met client Miss Hunter in a sitting room and had lunch with her. Following her summons, please be at the Black Swan Hotel at Winchester at midday tomorrow. It is said, do come, I am at my wit's end. You know, that in the back part of the right side of the picture is the image of the Black Swan Hotel. Next, we have the Checkers.
Yeah. There he is.
Checkers turns up in the Adventures of the Sussex Vampire. There are quite a number of UK establishments with the name Checkers. It's a charming name. Where did that come from? Checkers, or Checkers Court, is the country home today of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Checkers Court takes its name from the Checker family, who owned the estate in the 12th and 13th centuries. Elias del Checker, the first recorded member of the family, was an usher at the King's Exchequer, hence his name. So the Exchequer was named after a table used to perform calculations for taxes and goods in the medieval period. The Exchequer table was large, 10 feet by 5 feet, with a raised edge, ensuring that nothing fell off of it. On the counters were placed coins representing various values. The name Exchequer referred to the resemblance of the table to a chessboard, as it was covered by a black cloth bearing green stripes about the breadth of a human hand in a checker pattern. The spaces were filled with pounds, shillings, and pence. This for each property in the jurisdiction for taxes. And the piling of the coins was necessary because many sheriffs who were responsible for collecting and submitting taxes were unable to read or write, according to research. Okay.
Things haven't changed a whole lot in some areas,
A
so.
lot of checkers. Here's another one. Now this, of course, can't read the menu, but it's got some pretty interesting things out there on the menu.
I can see mucky chips from here. I don't wanna know.
Lucky
That's what it looks like, mucky chips.
chips.
Yeah.
yes. Uh-huh.
Minted lamb burger. Minted? That doesn't sound good.
Sauce.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's still,
Might be wonderful.
might be.
English cooking, you never
Yeah.
know what's written.
They wouldn't keep them on the menu if they weren't popular.
Very.
Okay, so there's yet a couple more images. This place is located in Goldhanger, and that has a tremendous history going way back. It was a smuggler's den at one point. It's got some great stories tied to it. So it's not hard to imagine Holmes and Watson staying for a night during their detective work at a place like this.
Playing checkers.
Here's the last one of Checkers.
So that'd be checkmate.
Oh, gosh.
Hey. Now here we have. Any guesses? Welcome. The Green Dragon is in the adventure of Shoshcombe Old Place. It might have been more of a tavern, possibly with some sleeping rooms. That name Green Dragon was popular even in our country as well. It was up in our Revolutionary War history. Concerning pub names in the UK, one published article gives these the following top names: Red Lion, Crown, Royal Oak, top three, and then in alphabetical order: Anchor, Angel, Bell, Bull, Coach and Horse, George, George and Dragon, King's Head, Nelson, New Inn, Plough, Railway, Rose and Crown, Swan, Duke of Wellington, White Hart, and White Horse. Very English term. In the adventure of the Priority School, the lodging place as mentioned as a forbidding and squalor inn with sign of a gamecock above the door. Quote, as we approached the forbidding and squalid inn with the sign of gamecock above the door, Holmes gave a sudden groan and clutched me by the shoulder to save himself from falling. If you recall, that was a ploy to
Get a horse.
fool the innkeeper into helping him out. But ultimately, the bicycle with the distinctive tire patch on it was, I think, leaned against the wall of the inn.
You remember the innkeeper's name?
No.
Hayes.
I remember that.
One of my family estates was in West York, which is where that was supposedly set.
Okay. In the story, there was also a Red Bull Inn. Here, the landlady was ill and a doctor was sent for. In the adventure of Shoshcombe Old Place, a dog was taken to the Green Dragon in Berkshire by the jockey. The inn contained an old-fashioned tavern. Dragons are rich in folklore of England, Wales, and Scotland. This includes white dragons and red ones. Many of these dragons are worms, as they are frequently called. Here's a green dragon in. Hard to see the sign, but there's a sign on that one. Anyway, a large portion of Britain's dragons are part of local folk tales that have been handed down over centuries. Makes for fascinating reading. A red dragon is part of the Welsh national flag. Well, will that be a good tale of folklore? The Welsh national flag signifies the Welsh people's resilience and spirit. That's from the Welsh national flag. Sussex, UK is one area full of dragon folklore. Some are sea or pond serpents called knuckers. It's K-N-U-C-K-E-R-S. Based on Old English word Nicor, which means water dragon. Knuckers are predominantly found in knucker holes. Which are ponds present throughout Sussex. So the way to look at your local pond, a knucker hole.
Of course, at the end, we'll need alcohol.
In London, in London today, there's a Green Dragon Court near Borough Market, takes its name from a tavern sign. There was also a Green Dragon Tavern there way back in 1542. There's also a Green Dragon on Fleet Street. The term arms shows up in the canon a few times and noted in the Adventure of the Norwood Builder as Annerly Arms. McFarland spent the night there after working at Jonas Oldacre's house on his will. The prevalence of arms in the UK is thought to date back to King Henry I of England, who, it is said, started it by giving a badge decorated with a lion to the son-in-law. In the medieval period, it was popular with the upper classes to have a distinctive family mark for competitions and tournaments, and it was popular, although not prevalent, within the lower classes as well. The use of arms as a name signifies a connection to royal families, towns, or historic guilds, indicating a higher status for the inn. Now let's journey back to London town. That was very thin to read. That's it's an old style hotel bill. We had the Hotel Cosmopolitan, which apparently was a fictitious hotel, but I would equate this to London's Savoy Hotel as a luxury hotel, which opened in 1889. The Savoy was the first modern and deluxe hotel in London, setting new standards for luxury, comfort, and service unheard of in the hotel world of that time, including the culinary program. The Cosmopolitan is featured in The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle of 1892 and The Adventure of the Noble Bachelor, also called 1892. In Blue Carbuncle, the precious jewel is stolen from the hotel room of a countess. The hotel burglary of a jewel was perpetrated by a hotel employee, James Riker, the position of head attendant. In Noble Bachelor, there was a fragment of a hotel bill that Holmes uses as a clue. Back to Blue Carbuncle, the plumber was accused of having abstracted the blue carbuncle from a jewel case of the countess who was the guest. It was said that he had been admitted to the room at the request of the countess on the day of the robbery in order that he might solder the second bar of the grate, which was loose. So that's not something we see in a hotel room today, a grate which was loose, but that's a point of interest as well as the upper attendant. The story setting is 1888. Hotels in that era, this is a picture of a parlor grate. So pretty classy looking. Hotels in most cases were still heated by fireplaces. The fireplace grate held solid fuels such as coal or coke and were positioned to optimize the heat while controlling ashes and sparks within the ornate hearth.
So that's a hearth
There would have been a hearth behind it.
behind it.
Yes.
Okay, that's the grate in front,
That's the
that
grate,
sets in
yes.
front. Okay, gotcha.
Presumably there would have been some iron rods or bars
Yeah.
horizontally coming out behind it. Other points of interest in the canon, in the stories that involve hotels. And we'll just park on that one for a bit. That was the Savoy Hotel back in Doyle's time. And you can see the Thames River in the foreground, built along the Strand. Other points of interest in the stories involving hotels.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
The structure of the, up on the top,
Mhm.
look, would those be like penthouses? Or would that be more service, or in other words, how would they have?
It was common to have servants' quarters on the top level,
I wonder.
but it would also be pretty nice to have a penthouse suite up there.
Based on what you described about this void, it sounds like even the service quarters are gonna be nice.
They could be probably very cramped.
Yeah, small
They
maybe.
pack them in.
So are those balconies? They got,
I think so.
the way it's
So,
all over recessed there. See the letter is a large parking building out.
So on this laptop screen, you can see better and it certainly appears to be balconies.
The servants would be on the top because the servants could walk up and the visitors wouldn't want to walk. Also be up to the top.
No, without elevators.
nowadays, I think that'd be a prime suite.
Right.
Was the least secure in case of fire.
That's true. Anyway, steam powered elevators, I believe they had their own dynamo to generate electricity.
Wow.
A novel thing back then. In Hound of the Baskervilles, Holmes sleuths over a letter and states, "I am almost certain that this address has been written in a hotel. If you examine it carefully, you'll see that both the pen and the ink have given the writer trouble. The pen has sputtered twice in a single word and has run dry 3 times in a short sentence, showing that there was very little ink in the bottle. Now, a private pen or ink bottle is seldom allowed to be in such a state, and the combination of the two must be quite rare." From this deduction, Holmes seeks to find out which particular hotel in London the hotel was written from. In other words, the hotel housekeeping either did not replenish the ink and test the pen out, or the hotel management purchased a lower grade of ink or lower quality of pen, or holding down operating expenses. A slight side note to the side note here, ink writing instruments and ink is quite a fascinating topic. And John, as I mentioned to you earlier, the chemical makeup of the ink and how the whole thing evolved. But from the evolution of the quill pen to the ballpoint, quill pens we used for over 1,000 years, comprised of feather sharpened and dipped into ink. This was inconvenient, needing frequent dipping, causing ink blotting, and the inconsistent ink flow made writing a chore. The first practical fountain pen is attributed to Lewis Waterman, an American inventor and insurance salesman. Although Leonardo da Vinci apparently designed something way before that. In 1864, Waterman patented a fountain pen with a feed system that controlled ink flow and prevented leaks. This breakthrough marked the birth of the modern fountain pen.
When would that have been?
I think 1884. Pen nibs, reservoirs, and pen barrels that had many different variations, and the many types of ink ran a broad spectrum of quality. Ink during Victorian England was primarily made of iron ink gall, which was a transparent color and required that a dye be added for visibility. The prevailing dye was purple. It was a mixture of iron salts and tannin extract, which was insoluble in water, giving it a permanent quality. The invention of ballpoint pen was not until much later in the 1940s. But in researching inks and so on, you know, there was, ladies had certain favorite inks, tinted colors and whatnot, inks, and things we never think about today. But, hotel stationery, also turns up in a canon. There's a letter or two written to Holmes on hotel stationery. Problem with Thorbridge, there's a letter from Claridge Hotel Stationery. Hotel bill, in The Adventure of the Noble Bachelor, Holmes finds a useful clue from a fragment of a hotel bill. It lists the room price, the breakfast, lunch, a glass of sherry, etc. By select prices, he determines that it was one of the higher quality hotels, and that helps it narrow down his detective search. Fine food and drink. In The Adventure of the Creeping Man, Holmes says to Watson, there is, if I remember right, an inn called the Checkers, where the port used to be above mediocrity and the linen was above reproach. I think, Watson, that our lot for the next 2 days might lie in less pleasant places. So we've seen a couple of Checkers inns here. I would think the options for restaurant food and drink would have been quite a bit more limited back in that day. Of course, the taverns with a good reputation, but the quality inn had usually good quality food to go with it. There's a reference in a hotel story here to water basin. In Stockbroker's Clerk, Watson writes, back I went to my hotel, put my head in a basin of cold water and tried to think it out. So this might raise the question, why not use the sink? Answer, there was no sink in the hotel room that day. General Victorian hotel rooms in England had these amenities. So the bed and bedding, quality mattress, flannel blankets, often unheated, relied on heavy bed curtains for warmth in the room. The lighting was gas lighting, typically standard. Electric lighting began appearing in the high-end hotels in the late 1880s. The Savoy, for example. Sanitation, in-room sanitation consisted typically of a simple wash basin with a pitcher and a bowl and a chamber pot under the bed. Running water within the room was rare, and guests often had to request hot water from the staff via a bell pull system. Communication. Bell pulls were a standard feature, allowing guests to summon a floor waiter, maid, or valet. Speaking tubes connected rooms to various parts of the hotel in some of the more advanced establishments. Furnishings. Rooms were generally well furnished with items like wardrobes, armoires, and comfortable seating, often with unique architectural features in Victorian buildings. Uniformity was not the focus. So now we keep moving on. Am I running short on time?
Oh, it is, we're 12:30 here. We're good. Keep going. We're good.
Okay. The hotel register, we've all seen it in B-grade detective movies. The private detective traces his man or woman by inspecting the registration book as it lies open on the desk. Right?
Not anymore.
The hotel register plays a key role in the novel The Hunt of the Baskervilles. In the story, Sherlock Holmes or Watson checks the register at the Northumberland Hotel in London, where Sir Henry Baskerville is staying. The purpose of examining the register was to determine if a mysterious man who had been following Sir Henry was also a guest there. They find that a man checked in right after Sir Henry under a false name. According to an AI search, before World War I, visitors' books were used widely but were primarily voluntary and social rather than legally mandated. Guests like to use these books to write in whimsical comments, even drawings. They served as a who's who for guests to see who else was staying at the establishment. And that's the kind of the basis of the poem in our placemats here. The legal requirement was not until became compulsory during World War I to track movement of foreigners. And then by 1918, authorities were already debating whether the hotel register should be replaced by individual forms to save paper. I'm not going to say paper, it might be more paper. But though the books remained as standard for some time. There was also at times a celebrity signature book that was popular in our country as well. In the old days, the room rate might be listed on the registration book, but oftentimes using codes. For example, using the words black horse might represent the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, by letters in black horse, and 0. So 10 letters in black. 10 letters in black horse and 10 numbers. Got a comment here. The role of the register: a couple seeking a mutual uncontested divorce would sometimes agree that one of them would check into a hotel. They would sign the register using a false name, e.g. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and ensure the local hotel staff could later testify to their presence. The hotel's visitor book then served as the key physical evidence of adultery required by the courts to grant the divorce decree. Okay, a note on sports-minded England and the resort hotel. I've already mentioned that, but Doyle himself was an active sportsman. Not surprising that he built some athletic activities in some of his stories, golf, so forth. In the Valley of Fear, I guess at the Eagle Commercial Hotel, had a cycle map of the county on his bedroom table. In the Adventure of Black Peter, young Nelgian arrived there on the very day of the crime under the pretense of playing golf. Okay, near the end here. The ascension of hotels and innkeeping in Victorian England and Greater London. Here's a vintage look in the Savoy. Well, coaching inns. Well, to the question, how and when did Old England coaching inns and taverns give way to railroad hotels? Coaching inns gave way in the mid-19th century, 1830s to 1850s, as the speed and efficiency of steam trains made long-distance travel faster, reducing the need for overnight stops on turnpikes, leading to the decline of old inns and the construction of grand new hotels near railroads stations. We're trying to say railroad stations. The process happened as railway lines expanded, replacing horse-drawn mail and passenger services, with many former coaching inns either closing, being demolished, or adapting into pubs or smaller hotels. So, in the early 1800s, pre-1830s, coaching inns were at their peak and were essential for mail and passenger coaches. The distance per day was not very many miles, by the way. 1830s to 40s, the first major railway lines, like the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, began carrying mail and passengers marking the start of the shift. 1840s to 50s, the railway network expanded rapidly across Britain. Coaching system collapsed, and the era of the railway hotel truly began. In the late 19th century, many historic coaching inns were gone or significantly repurposed. London hotels. It wasn't until the 19th century that London began to see a rise in the traditional types of hotels that we know of these days. Incidentally, it was the United States that had a competitive or influential effect also on London, because we had many great and grand hotels built in the United States. Let's skip ahead a bit. But besides the station hotel, well, many station hotels, if you have a chance to page through any of the book, King's Cross Station had the Great Northern Hotel. Victoria Station had the Grosvenor Hotel. These opened early on. Charing Cross Station had the Charing Cross Hotel, opened 1885. Liverpool Street Station, another great hotel. London's oldest hotels, Cavendish Hotel since the 1700s, Brown Hotel 1837, Fleming's Mayfair 1851, Claridge's 1853, the Langham 1865. There's quite a long list. The Royal Horse Guards Hotel 1884, where we stayed on our wedding anniversary trip. The Savoy 1889, and quite a few. They've got plenty of famous hotels there. And it's a gift that so many of them still exist. Now this is the Savoy today. You couldn't ask for more crisp, clean. I mean, those are high thread count, cotton sheets, ultra clean, no clutter in the room, fresh flowers, a view out the window, everything you can imagine for just a refreshing, comfortable experience.
Many of the high-priced hotels in London, I saw a documentary, they actually embroider the names of their recurring guests onto the pillowcases and keep them in storage so that when they come again, they get the one with their names.
It's a nice touch.
The cost,
Part of mystery.
are you gonna talk about the cost of like the Savoy today?
Uh-huh.
$800 to $1,300 a night for a standard. But the suites can exceed $1,300 a night. If you want the royal suite, $22,000 plus. That's where you were saying, correct?
I'm sure that comes with the budget.
They're gonna have to do a lot of embroidery for my $22,000. I'm just saying, wow,
Gold thread, maybe.
yeah, at least.
And here's an old look at the Savoy.
Gorgeous.
Got a beautiful crest there. Royal looking crest.
Hmm.
And that's the Savoy night. That's the end.
There you go. Yeah, not before.
So I would like to capture for you just a second, some of the chats that they had some interesting stuff in there. Large hotel recently renovated, and Rich added, it's interesting to compare London and New York's historical buildings. In London, most are still there. In New York, if you take the Morley Walk to look at buildings related to the BSI, the host says this is where it used to be.
Yeah. And he's right, Marlon Walker, I know, Bill, I know you've been on it, David. Yeah, it's that is what happened. This is where Christopher Marley did such and such. Well, I don't know, I guess they got the bookstore that's not there anymore, the building maybe, we had an apartment across the street. And they said, well, the air conditioner up there was his room where he and his mistress, and you're going. So, it's a shame, but that's what we were talking about the preservation earlier, we just let, in downtown just Nashville, some great hotels are gone. Maxwell House by Fire, but like Andrew Jackson and Noel and so forth, they were really nice places at one time, and then we let them go.
That's true.
Man, David, where did you get the wrestling tickets?
The Knoll hosted a TV show every morning called Luncheon at the Knoll. And my dad was the cameraman, man, so I got to go.
Oh, God.
I was like 5.
So I can imagine what hotels in London were, the many that were gone, but you had an interesting point, coaching hotels versus the rail hotels was very much like US highways and interstates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The motels that, just disappeared because the interstates came along. And you've still got you still got some, of course. What is the one up on the other side of Bowling Green? The Wigwam?
Yeah.
That are like teepees, they have teepee rooms, but, it's certainly, you get there faster, but wow. Any thoughts before we? Let me tell you, Tom, it was great. That's good stuff.
It's been fun exploring it, learning, and anyway, we have a lot of great hotels in London, so
Yeah.
I'm darn sure.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and do a cross-country trip over there and stay at some of the old inns and the CountryInns taverns.
Any thoughts online, folks?
Billy,
Yes.
it is our anniversary new year, and I thought maybe we might look really briefly at the video I prepared for January last year. It's got Gail, and then we'll finish with his 221Bs. That sound okay?
Sure, and of course Sandy, I assume has something for us.
No, not today.
Oh,
She's-
Not today.
And
You
I
have to find
remember
a
it.
story for me.
All right, I get it. Okay, well we'll have a video. Jim, really great glasses, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, how cool is that, huh?
I
Okay,
love it.
here we go. Can you see this?
Online and books.
Not yet.
Kind of interrupt for a second.
Bill wants to interrupt for a second.
Okay.
And I noticed the finishes here on the web. And Rich
Go ahead.
has invested this year. And I want to congratulate him on that. He is William Morris. So Rich, if you're still there, congratulations, dude.
Yes, congratulations, Rick. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm getting ready for a party, so I'm working.
You go right ahead, no worries. Here we go.
About 221B, that's good. Skill.
I think I was drinking. Red cheeks, yep, I was drinking.
Let's join in. McNamara's a good place.
Charlie
Got
Bob's.
married a few times. Well, what can you do?
Bring it, dude.
There's a little one. Couldn't get him to hold his arm still. Have you ever heard from them?
No.
Well, I signed y'all that task. I need to figure it out.
Back at you.
Hey, I'm Ramon. Y'all could drive over and be on his own. I did that once, I don't want to do that again. Oh, man. I heard feet.
Is that the hound on your shirt?
Yeah. It's actually a black dog.
Oh.
Martha's name, but it works.
Oh, what?
I was given their final blessing.
Yeah. Or like also.
Yourself. Doesn't have that cat, I've never seen it.
Okay.
So next month is who's doing what?
I'm sorry?
Who's doing what next month?
Well, before we have her, I think we've got Gail for the find, do we have the poem?
Oh,
No, we've got, that'll be what we close with. Next month, as far as I know, Drew will be with us. Yes, sir?
No, I'm ready to go when you are. Go ahead. I don't want to hear
Oh,
it.
okay.
I didn't.
Okay, what I was gonna say, we, next month, Drew Thomas is planning to be here with us, assuming his health, everything works on the, Arcadia mixture tobacco presentation. He is studying, as I visited with him, he started showing the materials that he's studying, and, I think he'll be ready, if his health will permit. If not, we'll do some moving and substituting and so forth, and we will certainly have a meeting here on, the, third Saturday of, February. Don't remember that, 21st?
No,
Yes,
March is the
that's right.
21st. It's the 21st in February
How
too.
about that?
They always have to say.
Yes. So we will do that. And do we have any other business before we conclude? Folks online, anything from afar?
Here comes Gail reading the 221B.
All right.
221B by Vincent Starrett, BSI. Here dwells together, still, two men of note who never lived and so can never die. How very near they seem, yet how remote. That age before the world went awry. But still the game's afoot for those with ears, attuned to catch the distant view halloo. England is England yet, for all our fears. Only those things the heart believe are true. A yellow fog settles past the window pane as night descends upon this fabled street. A lonely hansom splashes through the rain. The ghostly gas lamps fall at 20 feet.
Hello?
Here, though the world explode, these two survive. And it's always 1895. Here.
There.
That's it.
Well, folks, thank you all. Thank y'all for joining us online. Thank y'all for being present. We will reassemble next month. Go out and keep the memory green.
Yeah, they put you in the top. Bruce.